Hello everyone, my name is Kirandeep and in this video we are going to learn about active listening skills. So have you ever felt that with some people you are very comfortable in talking, in sharing whatever you are feeling, your thoughts, everything that's going in your mind. But but when it comes to talking or sharing your thoughts with others, with certain people, you feel that you are not that comfortable. You start feeling that you are not valued, you are not actually being listened. Why is it so? Even when they are there, they are listening to you, they are sitting and hearing whatever you are saying. What is the difference? The difference is that the first set of people are actually actively listening to you. So in this video, we are going to learn everything about active listening. So first we'll be knowing what is active listening, then the key elements, then what is the difference between listening and hearing, then types of active listening, what are the types, then barriers to active listening, steps of active listening, tips to be a great listener, and what is the importance. So, what is active listening? Active listening is a communication technique that involves fully focusing on understanding and engaging with the speaker during a conversation. So, when you actually listen to the person, when you actually pay attention to what the other person is saying, what the other person has to share with you, that is active listening. You respond, you ask questions, your body language, your facial expression, everything actually are invested into what the other person has to say. So that is active listening. Now we'll see some key elements of active listening. So the first is paying attention. Pay full attention to whatever the other person has to share with you. If you pay your attention, if they feel that you are actually attentively listening to them, this will make them feel more comfortable and they will be able to share easily and comfortably with you. So, paying 100% attention is very important. Next is verbal and non-verbal feedback. So, if we talk about giving a presentation, or if we are in an interview, or if we are in a meeting, we always look for feedbacks. So, in the same way, if we talk about active listening, verbal and non-verbal feedback both are very important. So for verbal feedback, what we can do is, like, you can, if when somebody is telling you something, you can reply with okay, yes, you did well, actually I agree with you, you are right, whatever the situation is. According to that, you can give your verbal feedback in between. Just make sure that you are not interrupting a lot, but do make sure that you are giving some feedback. And if we talk about the non-verbal feedback, it can be like nodding your head or maintaining an eye contact. So maintaining an eye contact also builds a lot of trust. So if the person is wanting to share something with you but is not 100% comfortable, then by maintaining a continuous on eye contact with them, that will make that person feel a bit more comfortable. So maintain an eye contact throughout the conversation, not in between. Also, to show that you are interested in listening to what the other person has to share with you, you can lean a bit forward while hearing to what they have to say. So this can also be a part of non-verbal feedback. So this is very, very important. Then reflecting and paraphrasing. You should try to reflect and paraphrase whatever they are saying. You can paraphrase it a bit and then ask question accordingly if you have something to ask them. Then clarifying. Again, if you have any doubt, they are telling you something, and if you feel that you are not that you did not understand certain thing, or you want to ask more about it, then you can ask questions in between. Empathy. This is very important. This, actually, we forget a lot of times when people are sharing something with us. What we do is we quickly start judging them based on whatever they are telling. If they're sharing a story or something, we judge them quickly, but that is wrong. We should never do that. We should empathize with them. Empathy is a very, very important part of active listening skills. You should actually try to understand what the person is going through. You should put yourself in the other person's shoes, only then you will be able to understand their position and their situation. So show some empathy and avoid judgment and interruptions. Like I said, empathize with the person, listen to them, and actually understand what their real situation is, and do not judge them and do not interrupt them a lot while they are sharing, while they're talking, because this may lead to them, deviating from the topic, which is not what we want. So pay your 100% attention, give feedback, both verbal and non-verbal, then reflect and paraphrase, clarify in between, empathize with them, and do not judge them. Then, one thing that may lead to a lot of confusion, that is hearing. You might feel that then hearing भी तो यही होता है, हम सुन रहे हैं ना, but it is not like that. Hearing and listening are completely different things. So let's see what is the difference all about. Refers to perceiving sound. So in hearing, when we are hearing somebody, something or somebody, we are just perceiving the sounds. We are not actually putting our head, we are not using our brain to understand what the other person is saying. And in listening, while you are listening to somebody, it is a process of understanding what to hear. What you are hearing, you are actually understanding that at the same time. You are hearing certain sounds and you are understanding that what that means. But in hearing, you are not understanding anything. It is a you just don't put your head into it. You're just hearing certain sounds. Then it doesn't require conscious efforts or intention. So even if you don't want to hear certain things, if there is some kind of sound, you will definitely hear that, because it is a natural phenomena. So you don't put, there is no intention or there is no conscious effort for that. But in listening skills, it involves paying attention and interpreting and understanding the sounds of words which is being spoken. So if we talk about listening, we actually understand the words, the sounds that we hear, and we try to, interpret a meaning out of it. So that is listening. Then hearing, it is an effortless activity. It is natural. We don't do it on intention. So it is an effortless activity. But listening skills, in listening, requires concentration, focus, and mental engagement. If you are actually listening to someone, it will require focus, it will require concentration, and it is actually a mental engagement, because you will hear certain words, you will hear certain sounds, and then you will automatically try to understand it, decode it. So that is listening. So it is not always that whenever somebody is sitting there and you're talking about something, that person is listening to it. It is quite possible that that person may be just hearing to whatever you are saying. So hearing is not a conscious effort. It does not involve any mental engagement, but listening is actually an effort that is put by the person to understand the sound and the words which is being heard. Then let's look at the types of listening. Now, there are certain types of listening. The first one being the informational listening. So, what is informational listening? Informational listening means when you listen to somebody to understand, to get some information. Suppose there is a meeting and you're there and you're listening to whatever being said. So, in that meeting, you are actually listening to your boss or to a colleague of yours who is giving the presentation to get some information out of it. That whole speech, you are trying to listen to it. Why? Because you want to get some information out of it. So, that is a informational listening. Next is empathetic listening. So, what is empathetic listening? So, if you remember in the previous slide, I talked about empathy, which is putting yourself in the other person's shoes and understanding their situation. So empathetic listening means when you're listening to somebody, suppose that person is sharing a story, something happened in his life and he is sharing about it, talking about it, and you are listening to that person's story and empathizing with them. You're actually trying to put yourself in that person's shoes to understand what they went through and what can be the possible solutions for it. So this is empathetic listening, and this is a very good type of listening, and we all should practice that. Then critical and evaluative listening. So critical means actually trying to understand, and it happens that in when we are evaluating or when we are critically listening to somebody, we are actually judging them. because we are, what we do is we listen to the person and we immediately try to understand and try to make our mind that what that person is talking about, and what is the what is the meaning of it, is it actually helpful or not. So in this we are in a way judging the person and judging what that person has to share with us, which is wrong. So we should try to avoid this kind of listening which is critical and evaluative, in which we are actually judging the person. We are trying to understand that what this person whatever the person is talking to us, whatever the person is sharing with us, is it actually helpful for us, or is it actually valuable to us or not. Then the next is discriminative listening. So discriminative listening is a listening type which we were doing when we were newly born. So when we are born, we are not able to understand anything, but we can hear sound, right? We hear certain sounds, certain sound waves, but we are not that capable to understand or to interpret a meaning out of it. So that is discriminative listening. Then the next is attentive listening, which is very very good type of listening, and we all should practice this. That is attentive, when we are 100% interested in the person, in listening to the person, and we give our 100% attention to understand what they have to share with us, right? Whatever they are telling us, whatever they are sharing with us, we are 100% attentive in understanding and listening to that. So that is attentive listening. Next is selective listening. Selective listening, I would like to give you an example with for that. Suppose you ask your father that I want to go to a party with my friends. It's Saturday and we have a plan. We will be going out for a party, and you ask your father for it. So your father says that okay, you can go. Just come back by 12 a.m. So you said, okay, I can go. You went away. Now it's 12:30. Your father is calling you again and again, and you're not answering the call. And you came back home at 1. So then he says that I asked you to come back at 12. Where were you? Why are you late? So you said, I didn't hear that. I remember you said you can go. So what is that? Your father said, of course, your father said that you can go, but at the same time, he said that come back by 12 a.m. So this type of listening is selective listening, in which we are selective of what we actually want to listen to, which is not good. So we should not practice this. We should be open to whatever is being told to us, whatever is being shared with us. Then next is comprehensive listening. Comprehensive listening क्या होता है? So comprehensive listening is a type of listening in which again we are understanding, we are trying to comprehend what the other person is telling us. So these were the types of listening. Next, we'll be seeing the barriers. So how is it possible that if we are talking about active listening, the practice, the tips we'll be discussing later, then the types, how is it possible that there cannot be any barriers to it? So when we are listening to people, when we are listening to somebody, we may face certain barriers. Some can be distractions. So distractions, now this is very common. अगर हम कभी भी किसी की बात सुन रहे होते हैं, जब भी हमसे कोई कुछ शेयर कर रहा होता है, so this happens a lot of time that हम we are physically there but mentally we are somewhere else. Why? Because we are distracted. Or maybe whenever we are listening to somebody and we get a notification on your phone, on our phone, we quickly start checking, okay, we I have got a notification from Instagram, who has sent me the message. All these things, these are distractions. So distractions can be a barrier to listening. Then prejudice. You have already made up your mind about the person. Maybe a friend of yours has said certain things about that person, that okay, don't trust her, she is like that, whatever that person has told you. But you have already made up your mind about it, and then you are accordingly judging the person while you are listening to them. So this is prejudice, which is wrong. This can again be a barrier to your listening, as it will affect your feedback, and you will not be able to 100% you will not be able to be attentive, and you will not be able to pay your 100% attention to what the person has to share with you. Then lack of empathy. Empathy is one of the most important key elements of active listening. So if you don't have empathy, if you're not able to understand the other person's situation, then how will it be possible that you will be able to comprehend and to understand the actual meaning of what they were saying? So that is why lack of empathy is again a psychological barrier. It is a barrier to active listening. Then language barriers. So suppose if a friend, if a known is talking to you in German, but you are not well aware, you're not well versed in that language, how will you understand that? So make sure that whenever you are talking to someone, whenever you are sharing certain things with somebody, or if somebody else is sharing something with you, just make sure that the language which is being used should be understandable by both the people, both the persons involved. Then mental distractions, again, if you are mentally distracted, maybe you have a perception of the person and you are not that interested because of that, and you are distracted, you're physically there but your mind is somewhere else, that will again affect your active listening skills. Then lack of interest, simply you are not interested. If you're not interested, how will the other person be able to get your attention? No, if you're not interested, you will not pay attention. It is not possible that the person can convince you to make you listen to them. That is why if you are not interested, this will again affect your active listening skills. So make sure that whenever you are listening to somebody, whenever you're there sitting with someone, you're listening to them, make sure you are 100% attentive at that time. Then next is the steps. What are the steps of actively listening? First is hearing. So the first step is when we hear the sounds, when we hear the words, those sounds, whatever the other person says. Next is understanding. When we hear those sounds, when we hear those words, we understand them, we comprehend them into understandable language. Then we evaluate. It is evaluating. So we evaluate, is this information which is being shared to us, is this actually important? So we try to evaluate it. Then we remember the most important things out of all that information. And then the last is responding, and then we respond, then we give our feedback. So this is the steps of active listening. First hearing, then we understand, then we evaluate, then we remember the most important, the crux of the information, and then we respond. Then next on the slide is tips. So we discussed the types, the barriers, and the process. Now what is important is how can actually we be a good listener. So the tips can be, the first is give your full attention. Like we discussed earlier, give your 100% attention to what the person is saying, to listen to them, actually understand, try to understand to them what they are saying. So be 100% attentive and listen and try to understand what the person has to share with you. Next is avoid interrupting. Do not ask too many questions while they are sharing something with you, because this may interrupt them and then they might get distracted. We don't want that, and we don't want the other person to feel that okay, this person interrupts a lot, I don't want to talk to him about anything important. So don't interrupt a lot. Then show empathy, empathize with the person. This will make the other person comfortable with you. Then use verbal and non-verbal cues. Like we discussed, verbals, respond to them with okay, yes, you did right, you should go for it, I agree with you, these things. Also, for the non-verbal cues, you can nod your head, you can maintain an eye contact while they are talking to you about something. Also, you can lean a bit forward while you are hearing to them. So these are the certain non-verbal cues that can be used while listening. Ask clarifying questions. This will show them that you were actually listening to them and now you are interested, and that is why you are asking questions. This is the whole concept behind asking clarifying questions. So it will give a good impression. So ask clarifying questions. Then paraphrase and summarize. So suppose you were listening to somebody and now they are done with sharing whatever they had to share with you. So what you can do is you can paraphrase it and summarize it a bit, and then you can discuss further. Then avoid judgment and assumptions. Do not judge people. So it is very natural for all of us to make mistakes, to go wrong. So it is okay, it is completely okay. So do not judge people when they come to you and share something with you or talk to you about something. Be very open to it and do not judge and assume already. Then practice reflective listening. Suppose they are sharing something, try to reflect, try to show that you are interested. Then be patient and avoid rushing. जैसे हम होता है ना कोई हमें, there are some people who takes a lot of time to tell a simple story, but okay, it's okay, be patient with them, listen to them, show them that okay, you understand and you are there to listen. And also try to avoid rushing. Do not say okay jaldi jaldi batao kya baat hai. Don't do that. This, they will feel ki okay, they are not that important, so they will not be able to share what they actually wanted to. So don't rush, be patient with them. Then practice self awareness. If you are aware of yourself, if you are self aware, you will automatically be able to reflect that, and that will come out as a very good trait in your personality. So practice self awareness. Then the last on the slide is the importance. So why were we discussing so much? Why was I telling you about the tips and the types of listening and what are the barriers and what is the importance? The reason is that it enhances your understanding. If you are actually listening to people, you are actively listening to people, it will enhance your understanding. It will widen your approach, it will widen your perspective. What happens is, if we talk to a lot of people, this adds to our wisdom, it adds to our level of intelligence. We get to learn about different perspectives, so which will automatically enhance our level of understanding. So that is why enhanced understanding is a very good benefit of actively listening. Then improved communication. You are talking to so many people, you are a listener, you will definitely respond. So this will improve your communication skills. So improved communication. Then strengthen relationship. If you are that person to whom people come and share their stories with, then automatically you are at a good position. It means that you are a person who come across as a very reliable and a very trustworthy person, right? So if you are if you are in a situation where people come to you and talk to you, this shows that you have a good bond and you have built a good rapport. This will strengthen your relationship with people. So this is one of the most important benefits of actively listening. Then problem solving. If you are listening to people, if you are getting to learn different perspectives, that will widen your level of understanding, and that will automatically add to your problem solving skills. You will be able to solve problems as you will understand how people think, what their level of intelligence and what their perspective is. So you will be able to be a problem solver. Then avoid misunderstandings. It will definitely avoid misunderstandings if you are that person who is there to listen. So what happens is, actually, if I talk about the real life situations, we are always that person who always want to speak. जैसे ही हमसे कुछ कोई शेयर करने आता है, we what we do is, हम तुरंत अपना एक रिप्लाई देते हैं. We are ready with our reply, with our judgment, or with our final conclusion. But that's wrong. We should always be there to listen. First, be patient and listen to the person, and then give your feedback. This is good for you only, because with this you will come across as a reliable person. So try कि आप मिसअंडरस्टैंड, इससे क्या होगा, इससे ऑटोमेटिकली आपकी मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग्स कम होंगी. सो बी देयर फॉर पीपल, लिसन फर्स्ट एंड देन रिस्पॉन्ड, देन रिप्लाई. So it will avoid a lot of misunderstandings. Then learning and growth. This is very important factor of actively listening. You will be able to learn a lot, and you will grow both professionally and personally, because it will widen your perspectives. You will get to learn about different people, and if you are a good listener, you will be able to build, like I said, it will strengthen your relationships both personally and professionally, and that will automatically add to your growth, because you will be taken as a reliable person. So thank you. So I hope this video was helpful for you. Try to be a good listener, try to be there for people, and try to listen to them, actually listen to them. Thank you so much.